At the start, there was freedom. Dictators, oppressors, evil rulers. This all ended. The world was entering a new era. Quality of life was improving. This all changed. Imagine people falling before you. Ambulances rushing everywhere. Countless emaciated homeless men and women begging for money, food, and water. News of fresh deaths carried on the minds of children. Governments working furiously to prevent news from spreading. And a horrible, rotting smell in the calm air. Corpses, frying in their thousands, began to rise. People putting flowers on their graves grew fearful. This was a plague that wiped out about 98% of the Earth's population, now called NR virus, which stands for necrotic rage. My friends, my family, and most unlucky victims will turn into what most people call zombies. Now there is only me, Joe, and Storm, my dog. The scene is in grasp, but death is at hand. The only problem is to get through a zombie-infested forest dubbed Green Death Forest. Armed with only a few weapons, trying desperately scaling 25 miles in an oddly quiet forest, we begun. The duo and dog started to ascend, fear in their hearts. Quiet, girl. They will hear you, said Kelvin as Storm let out a barely audible whine. They went on and started to smell a rotting smell. The bushes on Joe's side began to rustle. Formed Wolverine leaped out, trying to bite Joe on his already damaged arm. Storm leaped onto the Wolverine, infected with the NR virus, and pushed it into an endless tunnel. Come now! Joe yelled, and they ran, trying to be quiet as possible. A moaning and gurgling sound told them that zombies were behind, checking for the source of the noise. They ran until they ran out of breath. By the time they were far away from the beasts, sunset was following. A scratching sound filled the air. A zombie was in the pit beside them. Kelvin looked down. The creature was headless, and a disgusting brown liquid was steadily oozing from the place where its head should have been. Joe grabbed a large boulder and threw it into the pit. Kelvin and Joe set camp there. The evening went by mostly wordless. Joe started a fire, and its warmth welcomed them all. The group ate dinner. A measly meal comprised of mealworms, water, and a few drops of honey each. Kelvin propped 2 rags on sticks as tents. Storm slept outside beside the fire. Kelvin looked at the back seat, a little red tube full of what took years to climb. How hard have I worked to make you, he thought. A drop will be able to protect a country. Not that we even have a country left. Well, we will at least be able to stop the zombies from infecting the survivor camps. As he thought, his mind lingered on to the sad time when he saw his son infect his wife and eventually trailed on to nothing. Bark, bark, bark! Storm was licking his forehead. Loud groans were coming from outside the tent. Kevin stood up quickly, toppling his tent over, and saw the fire still ablaze. The fire must have attracted them here, he thought. Joe! 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 Wake up! He yelled. Joe woke up and heard them. They haven't followed us here, have they? The fire attracted the cursed things. Kelvin grabbed the cure and flares and stored them safely in a steel box in his pocket. They found shotguns and got ready to fight their way out by any means necessary. A zombie entered the area and many more came after it. Did we work hard for years for this? To be infected and lose a vaccine? Kevin looked out at Storm and Joe, his best friends for 13 long and depressing years, but at least Joe was. Kevin remembered that he found Storm in an alley 7 years ago, abandoned by her mother and sick. He also remembered when he met Joe, who was a toughened soldier at the time, who had thought that he was a zombie. Now we might never see them again. They were surrounded on all sides. The wave of zombies was pressing closer. Joe and Kelvin used their shotguns to scatter the zombies. Kelvin, Storm, and Joe ran after him, except Joe was not Joe anymore. The sides of his mouth were covered in the thick brown fluid, and his nose and ears were falling off. I'm sorry, old friend, Kevin said, with a pang in his throat, and he shot him in the chest with a shotgun. Zombie Joe fell instantly. He and Storm ran forward and forward. They reached a pit with zombies. the ones in which desperate humans look for petroleum to power cars. He heard groans coming from within it. He carefully walked around the pit with Storm at his heels. Calvin slipped a little and a piece of track collapsed and Storm fell with it. Calvin was frozen with shock at what he had just done. The sound of teeth-crushing groans grew louder. Tears fell to his feet. He knew he could jump into the pit to his death, to join Storm in the zombie's stomach. He was about to jump until he remembered what he was here for and what he had just sacrificed to do it. He ran and ran. He did not know how long he ran for. He just went onwards. Tears still falling, cuts and bruises covering his face and body. He was losing blood very fast. The last thing he remembered was throwing his flares, a strong buzzing sound, and the noise of undead feet growing closer. He woke up to find himself in a hospital room and a man standing before him, but he was still in extreme pain. "Sorry to disturb you, Mr. Coulson," the man asked. "What do you need?" replied Kelvin. "Why have you come here?" the man asked. "I have the vaccine." The man did not smile. "We will still have to send it to other camps. This will take years." Calvin gave the man the vaccine. "What is it made of?" "The blood of a nightingale, honey, and the necrotic rage virus in a weakened form. I will not disturb you again, Mr. Coulson," and the man walked out of the room. Calvin died in peace. In 2029, Calvin Coulson died to protect the vaccine of the virus after searching for 13 years. We will not forget his legacy.